It's a similar story for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. No one really putting their hand up after the top two. Delhi Capitals, what happy days for them. 3 wins on the road, back to back. They've downed the Sunrisers in their own den. In the end, by 39 runs. They were 101 for 2 at one stage in 15 overs for Sunrisers. They then lost 8 for 15 in 3.5 overs. Other than David Warner and Johnny Bairstow, who put on 72 for the first wicket, nobody even got to double digits. 10 wickets fell, 4 for Rabada, 3 for Morris, 3 for Kimo Paul, which makes Delhi's 155 look like some very good runs now. ESPN Cricket for Matchday T20 will look back on that game with Sean Tate and Murali Kartik. How do you explain that? The sort of collapse that Delhi would be proud of, but they're at the right end of it this time. Teddy, at that halfway point, we thought Sunrisers would cruise through when Bairstow and Warner set the foundation. What went wrong?
Look, maybe it wasn't the wicket we thought it was. Sitting here, I'm looking at maybe it was a bit harder than to hit through the line of the ball, hit through the ball with confidence. Maybe it was a little bit slower, but mind you, some of the short balls zip through all right. So it's one of those hard to tell wickets. Look, just judging on the way that Shreyas, Pant, and then Warner obviously taking their time, what it might look like. Maybe that was the case. So it sort of happened on both sides. But yeah, sorry, three and down. No one in double figures there. So that's never going to help.
I mean, they'd sort of done the job, Kartik, at the halfway stage. 72 between Bairstow and Warner, which means you need just about another 70 runs of the last 10 overs. What happened then? Why was run scoring so hard for you?
Look, it's a tough one, as Sean said. But the thing is that that actually tells you how vulnerable their middle order is. They have changed people, but it still seems that the newcomers and anyone has not been able to come to terms with run scoring. Even Warner found it difficult because his 51 or 47 doesn't exactly tell you the fluency with which you've seen Warner bat. Some of his shot making also you could not make out, but at the end of the day, they were the ones who chose to bowl first. Yeah,
well, we have plenty to think about Sunrisers Hyderabad. Let's go to our matchday match points and try and pick this game one by one. Now, Rabada and Kimo Paul, they turned it around for Delhi. When we saw Kimo Paul come on, Teddy, we actually thought, this is great for Sunrisers. They'll just work him around, maybe get the odd boundary. He's ended up bowling a decisive spell, 3 for 17 from 4 overs, including the wickets of Bairstow and Williamson.
Oh yeah, I've got to admit, I'm with you. When his first over was like, well, that's not really getting too many players out, I wouldn't have thought. And then he gets the first wicket, and sometimes when you get a wicket, it gets you in the game, and you get that confidence. And I mean, good on him. He bowled well. He cracked the game open for Delhi.
What he was bowling was the sort of back of the hand. Sort of what happened? Why is that ball on this sort of surface? From now, your hindsight assessment of it. Why was it hard to hit?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe it wasn't the wicket we thought it was. It wasn't that great a batting wicket. So obviously they summed that up, those conditions up after their innings, and thought, well, some of these balls are actually gripping, and the cross seamers and stuff are hard to hit. So obviously that match awareness worked in their favour.
And Kagiso Rabada and Chris Morris, even when you need, say, 10 and over at the end, I don't think you can pick a better pair to execute the way that these two are done.
Especially Kagiso. Especially Kagiso. Sometimes Chris Morris can still go for runs. There are days when he is brilliant, but the consistency with which Kagiso Rabada bowls, I think, as Sean mentioned before, him and Jasprit Bumrah, two of the best bowlers going around, and just the lengths. And I think Tatey can explain this. I've stood behind when he's bowling, just a single wicket. It seems as he releases the ball, it just kisses and hits the keeper so hard. And Rishabh Pant was alluding to that as well. He says he hits the gloves so hard. So that's something which he regularly does. But it seems very innocuous with this release and stuff.
That's exactly what he does. That sums it up. I don't need to talk about it too much. He bowls a heavy ball and kisses the wicket from a tall position. I mean, at the moment, he is the informed bowler in this competition. The thing is, when David Warner had to launch his attack, he had to do it against Rabada. That was a tough part of this innings for him.
Yeah, well, he is the holder of the purple cap now, Kagiso Rabada. We saw some of those quick ones that hurried the batsman when Vijay Shankar was trying to go hard too big. Let's focus more in detail on Sunrisers' batting here, because like Murali Kartik rightly points out, the vulnerability persists. The fact that they made so many changes, they rejigged the middle order, left Yusuf Pathan and Manish Pandey out. Can you somewhat excuse them and say, if we've made these changes, it's going to take a game or two? Or in this tournament, is that not an excuse?
You made the changes only so that they were going to better the other ones. Not in this stage, or not at this stage of the competition, that you rejig something for it to bear fruit. After a while, you're going to be behind the 8 ball and people will leave you and go. So I don't think so that's the case. Ricky Bui looked in a hurry. But I think first game, you have to give it to him. Possibly couldn't come up to the fact that run scoring wasn't that easy when he walked in. He tried his level best. The intent was definitely there. You have to give him 100 for that. But just that he couldn't come away with any runs.
It almost seems like if one guy could get runs, then maybe David Warner would have felt, or were they just leaving it to David Warner, who I think decided that his role is going to be to bat deeper, and that one guy at the other end, that little supporting act or release batsman didn't quite happen.
Yeah, it was interesting because when Bowie was out there, he got dropped. That was Bowie. He got dropped at long off, and Warner, the non-strikers, then had a crack at him.
Yeah.
He sort of said that's not the shot to be playing right now. So I think in David's mind, he was talking about two of them taking it deep. Almost like CSK against Rajasthan. It's going to be tough to win this match, but if we take it to the last 2 overs, we're every chance. It just so happened they had to face Rabada and Morris, and it's tough when you're facing those guys.
All right, if you were the Sunrisers camp now, are you just going to say, okay, we came up against a really good bowling attack, we will get this right? Or are you going to say, okay, I've tried my first set, I've tried a bunch of youngsters and that's not worked too. Is it time to press the panic button?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's not a time to press the panic button. I think they are very experienced as a group not to press the panic button. But yeah, definitely you have to delve deep into what has gone wrong and why it's going wrong consistently. I think that is something which they have to look, because after a couple of games, Johnny Bairstow is not going to be there.
Yeah.
So
he looks their best batsman at this point.
he looks their best batsman. So you have to find answers, and very soon.
Okay, we'll see now, because they've actually lost 2 out of those 3 home games, 2 out of 3 games at home, and they've lost 3 on the trot. It's not something you expect by last year's runners-up, the Sunrisers Hyderabad. They're a formidable IPL team. They're not quite cracking it. 8 for 15. Today's batting collapse doesn't really put the icing on this, which has already been an issue for the middle order. What about Delhi on the other hand, though? We must praise Delhi, who've picked up 6 points on the road, and some difficult points. They picked up points at the Eden Gardens. They picked up points here at Sunrisers Hyderabad too, which sees them go to second. So this weekend's borne some great fruit for the Delhi Capitals. They're now at 10 points. This young team, almost in complete contrast to Chennai, are now closest to them on the table.
I think that's such an important win for them at this stage. If they say they go on to win the next game, you're pretty much saying they're in the finals.
Yeah, at least in the playoffs. They'll nick 1 or 2.
Yeah, I know there's a time to go, but if they win the next game, that's going to not cement them, of course, but it's certainly going to put them in good stead to make that top 4 easily.
They're looking like the kind of team that, with this enjoying it happens when you're winning, I guess, but they're enjoying wicket celebrations more. They seem to have that. Teddy pointed out last time after the win at Kolkata, they have that bit of a swagger about them. This could now suddenly be 3 wins on the road, that too Hyderabad and Kolkata.
Look, winning does all that.
Yeah.
Maximum amount of chirping happens when the team's on top. The sledging happens when the team's on top, not when you're down.
Yeah.
And as they say, winners have parties, losers have meetings. That's exactly what happens.
That is right.
You know, just to understand how they've come up with this balance, they've figured out, I think, what 11 works for them, and they can still make changes. They've persisted with someone like Kimo Paul. I thought there'd be a case for Sandeep Lamichhane to come back. It just seems like whoever they put in is putting their hand up, much like CSK.
Look, Sandeep Lamichhane, you have to give credit to him. Whenever he was asked to bowl, he's done a great job for them. Possibly they felt that horses for courses, somebody like a Kimo Paul with his variations is going to be a lot more effective than Sandeep Lamichhane. But having said that, that is what you need, that clear communication and understanding between players and the support staff, that this is where you're not playing, keeps them happy. If that doesn't happen, then the player is always thinking why he's not playing. So that creates a great atmosphere around the team. And if you can find the right combination and find the odd, put in the odd player, depending on the conditions and the team you're playing against, it works well for them. It's going great right now for Delhi Capitals.
It almost shows a vindication of their reading of the pitch, which turned out to be better, that they played someone like Kimo Paul.
Absolutely. I think I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that dressing room, because I think obviously you see Punter and Dada, they'd have a big influence because Shreyas is a young captain.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how much ownership they give Shreyas of the team, because I know, talking to some Aussie guys, when Ricky comes into the team and helps out, they think he's fantastic. They think he boosts the team. His cricket knowledge obviously is brilliant, but the way he manages his players and puts confidence in them, apparently it's brilliant. So maybe that combination of him and Dada is just proven to be a nice environment for him.
While we are praising Delhi a lot here, if you are in Tom Moody's place right now, are you going to be having a real go and saying 156 should have been chaseable, or are you saying that's a lot of runs given away in hindsight now, looking at how this game?
I don't think so. 156 were too many runs given away. It was just a question of application, and I feel that you can't completely be relying on just two players all the time. It's high time. Kane Williamson, did he have to play that shot at that point of time?
Yes.
And for the others as well, it was just a question of sheer application. We've seen that. How many times does Dhoni do it for the team? It seems as if he's just taking his time, soaking the pressure in. It's about soaking the pressure, isn't it? And that's something which... knowing Tom Moody, he'll be very firm without being very rude.
Okay, so he's going to make his point clear.
Application is the exact right word that sums up that batting at the moment.
Yeah, well, you've got Kane Williamson, rightly one of the better batsmen in the world, and it's not quite worked for the Sunrisers. What does that mean at the halfway stage then? What does the IPL look like? We've already shown you the points table. It looks like Chennai are head and shoulders above the rest. Everyone else, it seems to be making too many mistakes and is cancelling each other out. But what about other leaderboards? Kagiso Rabada, after his wickets, has taken the purple cap. And David Warner, with in spite of his team going down, is sitting pretty with the orange cap on his head, striking at 140. Last couple of innings, Teddy, have been a slightly different David Warner, though, from the one that started with such mojo.
Certainly have been. You had the one before this as well. But again, I think we've seen a bit of that from some of these guys. I mean, obviously we talked about Steve Smith getting back into cricket, so it's been a little bit. It's not just him. There's a few guys around the place, and that's probably you can't put all the onus on him, but certainly an old David Warner style innings is probably what they're going to need in the next couple of games.
I'm trying to understand what David Warner would ideally like this Hyderabad pitch to be, because it seems like there are a few things that work for him and his game, that A game that we see of David Warner, and looking at the rest of the Hyderabad bowling, whether he would want this pitch more and more now as they look at the end of the season.
No, I don't think you can blame the pitch. No. I don't think so. I feel it's a question of you need to adapt quickly. You can't always expect feather beds and just think that you're going to hit through the line. It's not every day the bowler is not coming to get slaughtered. There are times when the batsman has to graft and fight for his runs, and sometimes that also makes for interesting viewing in T20 cricket. Okay,
what about the purple cap? And that belongs right now to Kagiso Rabada. And I mean, he's as good as it gets. 7.7, the economy 14 of an average, 17 wickets for him. He's not, I don't think he's ever had a full IPL, Kartik, you know, Rabada. We've never really had the pleasure of seeing Rabada go. This could be the IPL.
You think so? Does he not have to go back for the World Cup preparation?
I have a sneaky little feeling that there might be a few phone calls made and say, all right, if we make the playoffs, we'll keep them just for a wee bit longer.
Sometimes this World Cup preparation stuff, why don't you just let the guys play? Just keep playing. Wherever you are, keep playing. We don't need to bring you into camp.
I don't think South Africa have any cricket. I think it's a preparation camp again that they've
for everybody it's the preparation camp.
What doing what? Doing what? What are they doing at that preparation camp?
Would you turn down a call like that? Let's say you were head of cricket.
If you get a contract, you can't. But sometimes I just think, wherever you're playing, I remember Australia, we used to call them back from England when they were making runs or taking wickets. Sometimes it's better off leaving them than come in a few days before the game and away you go. Maybe not World Cups, but...
Yeah, maybe not World Cups, yeah.
It is strike you as a sort of bowler, Terry, that now, I mean, Rabada is world class, but now, because he's on such a high in the first 7-8 games, this could only get better.
Yeah, keep him going, absolutely. And you see the way that the guys, after, like you were saying, after they take wickets, they look like they're really enjoying themselves at Delhi. And their teammates, you see Prithvi running in, jumping on him, and Morris. So there's a good bond happening with all the players, and I'd just keep that going.
Okay, well, watch out, batsmen of the IPL then, if Kagiso Rabada is going to keep playing. Let's have a look at what our leaderboard looks like on our Fab 4 scoring system between Murali Kartik and Sean Tate. It's absolute one-way traffic in that previous game.
Is it a combination of the both or both games, or is
No. We'll try and give Sean something here. He's got 145. That's good turnout.
For me, it is, but for normal.
What a good pick Khalil Ahmed was. Well done to Sean Tate for picking Khalil Ahmed. Right. What about Murali Kartik? How has Kartik done? Oh, he's nicked it.
He's got it.
154.
So what did he get?
He got 145. So just 9 points. Johnny Best or the difference, whoever you want to pick. So it's been Murali Kartik's day as far as the Fab 4 goes. Teddy, well done.
Well, that was good for me.
You picked first. You could have gone Rashid Khan. You went Amit Mishra. With due respect to Mishra, who's a prolific IPL.
Who's laughing out there? I can hear people laughing out here. This is becoming a joke, me picking this Fab 4.
No, it's not. You're just keeping it very interesting. Okay, we'll call it quits right now. Thank you very much to Sean Tate and Murali Kartik. Get their thoughts ahead of the Mumbai RCB game tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, for build-up to the game between MI and RCB. You'll be able to get both of them on face-off as well. Our live daily IPL quiz, that's going to be at 6 o'clock. And there's big news coming up tomorrow too with regard to the announcement of India and Australia squads for the World Cup. Story from tonight is that Delhi continue to march on. They now sit pretty at second place on the points table, with Sunrisers Hyderabad having a few questions they need to think about.